Hello, Chicago Bears fans. Welcome to the Bears Den podcast. I am your host, Andy, and I'm joined by Chicago Clarence. So we are 4-0 in this preseason. But first, let's take care of some business. If you guys are watching us, please like us, follow us, subscribe to us, show us some love on whatever social media platform you are watching us on: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. Please show us some love, leave us some comments. We like feedback. In fact, we love feedback. And our boy, Chicago Clarence, has secured us a watch spot. So if you live in Charlotte, we will be at Max Speed Shop for the 1 o'clock games and the 4 o'clock games. That is right there by the mall, 8021 Concord Mills Boulevard. So, Clarence, let's get into it. We are 4-0. We are undefeated. What does that mean in the
Well,
preseason? What does it mean?
I think it absolutely means nothing. If you want to be honest with you,
Yeah.
um, we got out of it without any major injuries. That's the single most thing that I feel is important. That you get out of it without losing any of your wide receivers, your starting running backs, your quarterback definitely, and any significant defensive players. The players that comes to mind are Sweat,
Yeah.
um, Stevenson, Jalen Johnson, any of our line. We don't need any of those guys hurt. So the fact that all of those guys are relatively healthy is a good sign.
Yes, sir. I agree with that. To me, the thing I like seeing the most in the preseason was our defense. Looks like it's going to pick up right where it left off. We are getting to the quarterback. We're creating turnovers. And we have 2 pick-sixes in 4 games. I'll take that ratio all year. Get a pick-six every other game and take it to the house. I'll take that ratio all year. That will definitely help us win some games. Offensively, I thought we were simple, vanilla, basic. We're not going to show our hand. We're not going to show what we're going to use and how we're going to use these weapons. So I agree with you. 4-0 means nothing, but our twos and threes, they showed they were hungry. I mean, we were the better team in every game by far. And it's not even close. I think I tally up the score. We outscored them, everybody 115-47.
Well, most
Yeah.
thing that I would take from our backups plan is the play of Bajent. He seemed like he had total control and command of the offense. I like the way that he ran the offense. I like the way we were able to move the ball up and down the field. And we seem to run the ball a lot more with purpose than we have
Hmm.
our previous 4 or 5 years. So those things stuck out to me. We don't want Caleb Williams to get hurt,
No.
but if he did, I think that we would be in capable hands with Bajan. I'm not saying that Bajan can take us to the playoffs or
Hmm.
anything beyond that, but I think that you want a guy that can come in and just kind of keep things afloat should your quarterback miss a game or two.
Interesting you bring up Bajent. If you were a GM, Clarence, someone made you an offer for him, would you trade him?
For Bajent, it
Yeah.
depend on what they was giving us.
Yeah. I mean, New England made a living out of doing that. Even when they had Tom Brady, they would still draft quarterbacks and they would flip them for draft picks. But I would not trade him yet. He's
Yeah,
on
I
a rookie
mean,
deal. He's cheap. There's no, maybe when he gets into his last year and then you got to pay him, that's when I probably would trade him.
do
But
you
right
think?
now,
I mean, do you think Rippin is close to Bajent? If Rippin is indeed
no.
going to be the third starter,
No.
that would be the reason why you would make a decision like that if you felt like Rippin could come step in and be the backup.
I think Ripken is fine as our third quarterback.
Okay.
I think he's an upgrade over Peterman, but I don't think he's an upgrade over Bajent.
I like that Reed guy. He seems to throw the ball with
Yeah.
confidence, and he has no fear.
I
And
think
I actually think Rippin and Reed both have better arms than Bajan.
I think Reed's probably gonna end up on their practice squad.
Yeah,
Everybody carries a quarterback on their practice squad for the
yeah.
worst case scenarios. So I was listening to ESPN radio this morning. I love Jay Hood and Cap. They said last year, I thought this was interesting. When Fields went down, Bajent came in. He went 2-2. There was a lower contingent that wanted to stay with Bajent over Fields. What do you think of that? I know it's water under the bridge now, but they actually, like Getsy thought, Bagent ran his offense more proficient than Fields.
That was because Luke Getzey refused to tailor his play calling to what Fields' strengths were.
Mm-hmm.
Bajan is a stand in the pocket thrower. Justin Fields is not that.
No.
So, if you want somebody, I mean, heck, Matt Nagy wanted to keep Andy Dalton because Andy Dalton ran the
Yeah.
offense better than, and that's because Matt Nagy's offense called for a pocket passer. That's not Justin Fields. That's not his strengths. You got to get him out on the edges. You got to run naked bootlegs. Get him out where he can threat defenses with his legs or with his arm. And for some reason, we just would not do that. That's the reason why those people who were making decisions while they're in Chicago are no longer there.
I agree with that. Let me ask you something. I know I asked you this last week. Did we finally get this right? Did the McCaskies finally hire some men who can lead us to the promised land? And by men,
Every
I mean
every
Warren, Cunningham, Poles.
everything remains to be
Yeah,
seen with that. You
yeah,
know, the stadium deal annoys me.
yeah. It does me too.
Kevin Warren was brought here to get that thing nailed down, and it still to this day he's been in that position for over a year, and we still don't have a stadium deal in place. And that's your job. That's why you
Hmm.
were brought here. You wasn't he brought here to help run football operations. You were brought here to get the stadium deal done, and you haven't got it done. You went out there and bought that property out there, the horse track, and it's just sitting there collecting dust. And we've paid hundreds of millions of dollars for it, and we're still making payments on the remodeling of Soldier Field, which happened 15 years ago.
Yeah. So Poles and Cunningham. Do you think we finally got some men in the right spots with those two?
Everything their fate is going to remain on the shoulders of Caleb Williams.
Yes, it
If
is.
Caleb Williams, if Caleb Williams is who everybody feels he is, and he makes himself a bona fide quarterback that's here 12 years, God forbid he's able to win a Super Bowl or two, then it's going to go down as one of the best trades in football history from what we got from the Carolina Panthers. It has the potential to be that with the players and the starters that we got out of that deal. And like I said, if Caleb Williams is the guy, that trade is was the blueprint for this team's success. Everything is predicated on him. Their futures, their history of what the job that they did while they was here is predicated on Caleb Williams. Because
So let me.
keep in mind, he did
Yeah.
not draft Justin Fields.
No, he did not. I mean, I agree with that. If Caleb Williams is a franchise quarterback, Ryan Poles is going to be our GM for a very long time. Very long time. Because we have never had a franchise quarterback in this city. Let me ask you something. Velus Jones Jr., he's getting a lot of press. Right or wrong, is it a good thing or a bad thing when a team all of a sudden carves out a little niche for you? I think that's a bad thing.
Well, Ryan Poles drafted Velus Jones because Velus Jones has
Yes.
speed. You can't teach speed. He
No.
wasn't drafted to be a running back. He was drafted to be a wide receiver and a punt returner. He hasn't been able to do neither one of those things because he never had good enough hands to be a wide receiver. And that same problem has plagued him in being a punt returner and also a kickoff returner. He has bad hands. So they did the next best thing. They put him at running back simply because he's built for it. He has the body, the frame to be a running back. You got to be able to run between the tackles with success if you want to be a running back. But if you get him out on the edge, he's gone. And I like the move. I actually called for this to happen last year. We should have had a podcast last year and people would be able to believe me. But I actually called for this. Um, the only thing about it is you got DeAndre Swift, you got Khalil Herbert, and you got Roshan Johnson ahead of him. So how are
Hmm.
you going to carve out playing time for him?
Yeah. I mean, last night was his best game as a pro. He had, I think it's 113 yards or so total. I mean, that 43-yard run, that is why he was a third round grade or a fourth round grade. I mean, he ran with speed, he ran with power, he ran with conviction, acceleration. You can see why the kid has talent, but he's got hands of stone and he fumbles the ball. I mean, I don't know. With Ian Wheeler getting hurt, that kind of helps him. I don't know. I just think it's a bad thing when they carve out a niche for you. I mean, he's not Cordell Patterson at all. And he's
Well,
not.
he doesn't. He's not
Yeah.
Cordell Patterson, but Cordell Patterson didn't have good hands either. That's the
No.
reason why he got moved
Yeah.
to running back. So, um, but Cordell Patterson could return punts at a better
Yes, he
clip than
could.
what Velus Jones is, and I think that's going to be his downfall because he can get caught up in the numbers game real easily.
Yeah.
Unless you are of the mind that you're going to move Khalil Herbert, which is what I would do.
So you would move him now, even though Wheeler's could be hurt. I mean, I don't know the severity of it. I can't find anything of him.
You got Swift in there, and you still got
Yeah.
Roshan Johnson, who I think is a better bat than Khalil Herbert, for the simple fact that he can do everything
Yeah.
offensively that Khalil Herbert can do, and he also can catch the ball out of the backfield, which is one of Khalil Herbert's two weaknesses: the fact that he doesn't catch the ball well, and that he doesn't block well. And if you got a running back in there and a starting running back at that minute who's sitting in there and he don't pass protect, he's going to get your quarterback killed.
Yes.
Keep in mind, last
Yeah.
year we had Justin Fields. The
Hmm.
play that Justin Fields got hurt. Everybody wants to sit there and blame on him holding the ball too long. Well, I think it was against Minnesota,
Yeah.
and maybe be some truth to that. But what people keep forgetting about is Khalil Herbert missed his block.
He
If he
did.
doesn't miss his block, Justin Fields doesn't have to flush the pocket and get chased down from behind and fall on his thumb. But Khalil Herbert missed his block.
And Khalil Herbert also has as you always point out, he's terrible in pass pro. But I thought he ran the hardest of the guys this preseason. I thought he looked the best. In all
But he has no
honesty.
speed.
Yeah.
He has no
Yeah.
breakaway speed. You know, yeah, he can run in between the tackles and he can break a tackle or two. But football has changed, man. Is that and
Yeah.
you want a running back who can threaten to take the ball to the house. And Khalil Herbert is not that. DeAndre Swift is. Roshan Johnson is. And like I just said before, if you get Velus Jones out on that edge, then you might as well
Yeah.
line up for the extra point.
Yeah.
He's
I mean,
gone.
Halus Jones, he has talent. There's no denying the kid has talent.
And as
Just
hard as we have
yeah.
been on him, we
Yes.
got to give the man some credit because
Yeah.
he embraced this opportunity to
Yeah.
get back there and change positions. And it seems like he's been being able to accept coaching. Because being a running back is different than being a wide
Yeah.
receiver. So he's been able to do that, embrace it, and God bless you. I mean, whether it's this team or another, I'm not gonna hate on the man for being able to be a professional athlete because that's not easy.
No, it's not. So our next question today, we had a trade. We traded a 6th-round pick for the kid out of Seattle, Daryl Taylor. Thoughts on that one? And I'm sure Shane Waldron knows him. I'm not saying he coached him because obviously defense and offense, but I'm sure he knows him. I'm sure he's matched up against him in practices and scrimmage. So I'm sure they're thinking this is a good pickup. What are you thinking?
Well, we gave up a 6th round pick
Yeah.
for someone who is a situational pass rusher. The thing that bothers me is this can't be the only move because this guy is not good against the run.
No, he's not.
So it's just who's the guy we got last year for $10 million on 1 year deal.
And Dockway.
So this keeps us from re-signing Ndakwe.
Yeah, we're
And
done.
Ndakwe can go look elsewhere. He's not coming back to Chicago because this guy is a younger version of him. He does the exact same thing Ndakwe did, and he has the exact same weakness. He sucks against the run.
And
And
he's
like I told you before many times, you have got to be able to run the ball and stop the run if you want to win in the NFL. And if your defense is out there and they keep continuously get gashed for 4 and 5 yards per play because you got somebody just can't hold the edge and they can't shed blocks to help stop the run, what do we have him in there for? This guy is going to be in there on 3rd down, and his job is to go get the quarterback. Plain and simple.
well. The thing I do like is you can put him at edge. You put Booker at edge. Now you can maybe shift Swift I mean, Sweat inside. He's
No.
got he's got a pretty good body to go in on pass rushing downs only. I'm not saying on first and second down. I'm saying on pass rush. Line up your
When
four best pass rushers and go.
when are we gonna stop moving people out of their positions
Uh-huh.
and have them play other positions that haven't proven that they can do?
I'm
You
not
know what I'm
saying
saying?
I'm not saying on first. I'm saying obvious passing downs. Put your four best pass rushers out there and just tell them to go.
Well, when have you ever seen Sweat rush the passer off the line with his hand on the ground? I'm playing on the inside. I mean, he's an edge rusher.
I
That's
think.
what we got. That's what we
Yeah,
got Walker for. That's what we paid
yeah.
Walker that money for to
Walker,
play
we
inside.
Walker, we have shifted inside from time to time.
Yeah, but that's the reason why we
Yeah,
gave it. That's the reason why we got him. I mean, because if it was that simple, then we would just put Walker on the other side of Sweat. But we don't do that. We have him playing inside. Why? Because we need a defensive tackle.
we do. That's my next point. That seems to be the weakest link on our defense. We're not deep at defensive tackle. After Dexter and Billings, can you name our defensive tackle after those two? A true defensive tackle.
No, I can't.
Zach Pickens is the only one I can think of. After him, I would have to look on our depth chart. I know the kid from the Texans, his last name is Cowart. I think if we make any move at cutdown, it's going to be a defensive tackle.
I think that you're probably right. That and center, I still think are our two glaring weaknesses, and I will also say left tackle. We Those are our three glaring weaknesses on this team. This team is going to be scary good going forward.
Yeah,
I think most people are probably saying we're a good 2, 3 years away. You
no.
know, I don't feel like we're that far off. But this Booker kid, he's going to get his chance.
Yeah, he is.
I want to see him mix it up with bona fide starters and show that he can legitimately shed blocks, get off blocks, and go get the quarterback. And if he can do that at a decent clip and stop the run at a high clip, he can be playing in the NFL for a long time.
I agree with that. I like Booker. I thought he was probably defensive MVP this preseason. Again,
Okay, I'll give you
again,
him and the other
Hardy.
guy, Hardy.
Hardy. Now, does
Hardy had a hell of a camp in preseason too.
Hardy make this team now with this trade today?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I would cut Robinson before I would cut Hardy.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't cut any of those guys. There are plenty of other
Yeah.
fat you can trim for this team. You don't have to remove any of those guys unless you're going to go and make another trade or pick up somebody that was better. That's an unexpected cut, and most of it, at this time, usually that's because of salary. I mean, that's the reason why Taylor's in Chicago now anyway, because he wanted a new deal.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this: Vegas has us at 8.5 wins. I know you're going to go over. How far are you going over that? I know you're
I'm
over.
I've said it 10 times. I've said
Yeah.
it. Yeah, we should win. We should go. I think that this team should win no less than 12 games.
I think, based on what I've seen in this preseason, I know preseason don't count, but I like the fact that we looked nasty. We looked ready. We looked like the better prepared team in every single game. And for once, we looked like we knew what we were doing. We didn't have any dumbass penalties that we normally have, and we had a few, but it wasn't like it used to be. I mean, it seems like we really are moving forward with this franchise.
And
I'm due.
I would definitely echo that. But I would also caution everybody that this is the Chicago Bears. Let's not
Yes.
forget.
Yeah.
And if it's one team that does stupid stuff on a routine basis, it's the Chicago Bears. Let's see what happens when we play real football games. Let's see what happens when we go against the Green Bay Packers, who always outcoach us.
Yeah.
I want to see what we do against them. And if we get into meaningful football and we're still talking about how well our defense is playing and how well our quarterback is playing, then you can make a believer out of me. But now, you're not going to fool me. I've seen this too many times. Too many times. We can just go back and just have revisionist history of when we had the double doink playoff game and we
Mm-hmm.
went through that painful off season,
Yeah,
and we had all of this flair and hopes, and we were going to be this, and we had the better roster than the Green Bay Packers, and in the first game we get hit right in the mouth,
we
scored
did.
7 total points.
We did. We went from that. I mean, that kind of is like now. We had the last place schedule,
Mm-hmm.
and we won the division, and then we ended up with a
Mm-hmm.
first place schedule, and then we started backpedaling,
You
and
know
then
why? Because number
yeah,
one, we had a head coach that didn't know what he was doing.
uh-huh,
He was stubborn. He refused to call plays, and have meaningful, cognizant decisions on personnel on goal line situations. We had a quarterback that wasn't the guy. I
no,
said that from day one. And if you don't have a quarterback, you're not winning. I don't care how good your defense is. You're not winning. And those are our problems. And then there's the worst thing you need to do is have an injury or two, and you're cooked. And that's
yeah.
exactly what happened to Chicago Bears. That's exactly what happened.
So with that, Clarence, let's go into our final thoughts. Wrap this thing up. Next time we see you guys, it'll probably be Tuesday night for cutdown day. But Clarence, give me your final thoughts. Anything about the Chicago Bears comes to your mind?
I mean, as I said before, I'm excited about this team because I can see that a lot of thought went into the construction of this team.
Mm-hmm.
We sit here and we nitpick about having a not having a center, not having a three technique, and not really believing in the left tackle. But if you really sit down and think about it, we got to give Ryan Poles a lot of
Yeah.
credit because he had to tear down the fence that Ryan Pace put up, and it,
Yeah.
and it was painful. Um, and when you got to get rid of a quarterback that's only in his third or fourth year because you don't believe he's the guy, that's not easy.
No.
And if it wasn't for him fleecing the Carolina Panthers, we'd be sitting here twiddling our thumbs about our future, and our present right now not looking real good because there's some teams out there that's going through what we've all just came out of.
Mm-hmm.
So all I got is I got a wait and see attitude right now. We done with preseason. It came out exactly what I wanted, which was no meaningful injuries. And now we just got to go, continue to get ready and be prepared. Tennessee is going to be the first team on the schedule. I want to see
Yes.
how we handle them. We are better. We are better. We have a better roster than them. We should absolutely dust them.
Yes. I agree. We should
And yeah,
absolutely win that first game.
and it
I want
shouldn't be
to.
close. It shouldn't
I
be
want to
close.
see how this offensive line handles Simmons inside. Because that is a good, very good three technique. That's the kind of player we need. He worries me. I want to see if our offensive line is ready to handle him
I
in
want to see.
particular.
I want to see our defense get after that quarterback.
Yes.
I want to see that they don't have who was they running back all of those years.
Derrick Henry is with the Ravens now. They don't
Derrick
have
Henry
him.
is gone. I
Yeah.
want. I and we should have no problem stopping the run. Like I said, we should absolutely manhandle that team.
Yeah. I expect that, man. And I too am excited for the season. With that, until next time, bear down.
Bear down.